represent compass bearings on diagrams. We have also learned how to represent 3-point bearings on diagrams. In this video, we are going to learn how to represent the bearing of one point from another on a diagram. Let's look at some questions and see how to do this. So we have the bearing of a point from another. We have been given 4 questions here. We will solve them one after the other. We will solve the first 2 in this video, then we will solve the others in the subsequent videos. So let's look at one of the questions for this video. The bearing of point A from point B is north 70 degrees east. Illustrate this information graphically. So we are supposed to illustrate this compass bearing on a diagram. In the previous video, we learned that this is an example of a compass bearing. The question is telling us to represent the bearing of point A from point B. It means that in this case, we are going to start from point B and we get to point A. So point B is our starting point. The bearing given us is north 70 degrees east and our ending point is point A. So in order to represent this information on a diagram, what you do is that you draw your diagram as you've been doing all along. Since this is a compass bearing, you draw the diagram with the 4 main cardinal points: north, south, west, and east. We are going to start from point A. So we will call our starting point here point. So we are going to start from point B. Since this is the bearing of point A from point B, we are going to start from point B. So we will call our starting point here point B. Okay, what is the bearing? The bearing is north 70 degrees east. So you will measure the bearing on the diagram. We've learned in the video on compass bearing that north 70 degrees east means that start from the north, measure 70 degrees towards the east, and this is going to give us the diagram that we have here. So we start from the north, we measure 70 degrees towards the east, then we draw the line. This is our starting point, point A. Our ending point is, this is our starting point, point B. Our ending point is point A, because we are saying that the question told us to represent the bearing of point A from point B on the diagram. So our starting point is point B and our ending point is point A. The bearing is north 70 degrees east. So when you are being given a question like this to represent on the diagram, the first thing you need to do is to draw the diagram. You indicate your starting point, you draw the bearing, then you indicate your ending point. Let's look at the next question for this video. The bearing of point D from point C is 105 degrees. Illustrate this information graphically. Once again, you first have to find your starting point. Our starting point is point C, since we are doing it from point C. Our ending point is point D. The bearing given to us is 105 degrees. So you draw the diagram. This is a 3-point bearing. So you are going to indicate the angles, not the 4 main cardinal points. Because it's a 3-point bearing, you indicate the angles. So 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, then it gets back to 0 degrees or 360 degrees. Okay, we have been able to do this. Our starting point is point C. So we are going to call this point here point C. We measure the angle. The angle is 105 degrees. In the previous video, we learned how to draw 105 degrees on this diagram. The first thing you need to do is to locate where 105 degrees will fall. 105 degrees is between 90 degrees and 180 degrees, so it means that it will fall in this area or this quadrant. So you ask yourself, what should you add to 90 degrees in order to get 105 degrees? And you are going to get that by subtracting 90 degrees from 105 degrees. That will be 15 degrees. So it means that you measure 15 degrees from 90 degrees, then you draw the line. So we have indicated our starting point. We have been able to draw our bearing. The ending point is point D, so you indicate it on the diagram as point D. So this is how to represent the bearing of one point from another on a diagram. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget